Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to be doing a handover video on this Pilote Galaxy 91. It's based on the 2003 Mercedes Sprinter chassis, and as you can see, it is an A-class motorhome. So basically all built in one piece, dropped on top of a chassis. So what I'll do is I'll start under the bonnet like I always do, and then I'll walk around the outside, and then we'll jump inside and show you what's going on in there as well. So, as I said, we're based on the Mercedes Sprinter chassis. Over on the left-hand side, we've got your washer fluid reservoir, brake fluid reservoir. Your engine oil gets topped up through this cap just here, and your engine oil dipstick is the red one just down here. Your air filter sits inside this little box down here. And I always like to mention on these Mercs, they do have this heat shield here, but underneath this is where your turbo and manifold sits, your exhaust manifold. So please don't touch any of this because it will get ridiculously hot. All of this stuff here, leave that alone. All the stuff to the right of the engine here, this is your inlet manifold, so that won't get hot. That's just your air intake. So this is your coolant overflow reservoir here. So again, this is another thing that will get very hot. And your engine battery sits over here in this reservoir to the right. So, if I go to the near side of the van now, you see there's no near side front door. We have got a driver's side door on here, which a lot of A-classes don't even have a driver's door at all. They just have the habitation door, but you have got one on the driver's side. So just down here in this lower locker, this is your leisure battery locker. So if you ever need to get any access to the leisure battery, that is where it is. You can just pop this little lid down when you don't need access. To the right of that, we've got your diesel filling point. This is just your standard Mercedes diesel filling point. So you will need your... In fact, you might not need a key for that one. No key needed for that one. Next locker along is just storage. So you can see a really nice deep storage locker there. As I said, we've got your habitation door just here. Previous owner has left the step with it. So above the door, we've got your full-sized Fiamma wind-out awning. So you can wind that out if you want to and use it as the external awning, with the awning light underneath there as well. Your electric hookup point is this one just here. So if you do have access to a hookup cable, it's really handy to have that plugged in because it means that you don't have to worry about any battery voltages or any, power to any mains powered appliances that I'll show you when we get inside. So this just here is your external gas point. Actually, no, sorry, that's a lie. That is your external water point. You have to ignore me on that one. So external water points, if you need any external water, you can plug your speed fitting into there. I didn't realise it was a speed fitting, so that is your external water. Next door to that, this little vent that says Truma on it, this is your boiler vent. So if you've got the boiler lit up on gas, you will feel hot air like I can at the moment, pumping out through the bottom of this vent. You will also see that it'll eventually start forming condensation at the bottom of it as well. That is perfectly normal. It just means that it's working. Another storage locker down here, giving you access to the bottom of the bed. And then the last locker on this near side is your gas locker. So you've got space in here for two 13-kilo propane bottles if you wanted it. That's the maximum size you can have in this locker. At the moment, we've just got this brand new 6-kilo propane in here. This is what we always give away with all the vans. To use these bottles, we go anti-clockwise around to the left to turn the bottle on, and clockwise all the way down to the bottom around to the right to turn the bottle off. You need to make sure that you turn the gas bottle off before you start driving. Other than that, that's about it really for the near side. Apart from the fact that just down here, we've got your wastewater drain off handle there. So the red handle is where you would drain out your wastewater, and it'll come out through that little hole just there. So at the back of the van, we've got reversing camera up there, a ladder to get you up onto the roof, and then obviously just really good access to the underneath of the bed. On the off side, we have got, I just open this up, this is your toilet cassette locker. So this is your Thetford toilet cassette. So to take the actual toilet cassette out, we lift up on the little yellow tab and then pull the cassette towards us. Once you've got it to this position here, it will then come all the way out. All you need to know from there is that you empty it out from this little yellow cap at the end. And when you're physically emptying it out, you need to hold down this little yellow button here at the back. A cap's worth of blue fluid goes back inside the cassette, give it a little swish around, and then push it all the way back in, and that's ready to use again. So these two vents just here, these are both to do with your fridge. So if you did have any problems with your fridge or needed any access to the back of the fridge, that is where you get access to that. You can double check that the fridge is definitely working on gas if you put your hand over this top right hand side of the top vent, and you should feel warm air coming out through this. Not very much, but just enough so that you can feel it. This is your freshwater filling point, so you can take this out to fill up your fresh tank. Whether you've got a watering can or a hose to go into that, that is where you would fill up your fresh tank. Now we have given the body a little polish up on here, and you can probably just about see just how good that bodywork is. Looking absolutely brilliant, really. For a 2003 motorhome, it's like that all the way around, as you can see. So you have to excuse the bed here because I've got the bed dropped down at the moment. But in the cab, briefly just sort of explain a few things. So we've got the 5-speed manual gearbox just here. So reverse is down to the bottom left-hand side. Your air conditioning switch is the bottom switch on this little unit here. You've then got your fan, sort of where the air goes to with the fan speed and fan temperature. Singled in Sony head unit up there at the top. Nothing really to explain about that. Really low mileage, 39,000 miles. So, you know, it's a very, very low mileage for what it is. These Mercedes Sprinters are happy to do 200,000 miles quite easily. So really super low mileage, really. Other than that, to be honest, the cab is pretty straightforward. It's nice and easy. So I'll just wander around to the other side now and then jump inside and show you what we've got going on in there. So the reason I had the bed down like that is just so I can show you the sort of layout of the van, really. So we've got this really massive double bed at the top just here. So this is your main sort of the second main bed, if you like. So you've got this really nice big double bed at the front, and then you've got another whacking great big fixed bed here at the back as well. In between, you do have this really nice sort of lounge area table. You can make that double size if you want to. You can open it up, and it's, you know, makes a really nice spacious lounge here in the front. TV locker is this one, really. It's up to you whether you want to use it as a TV locker or a microwave locker, because the microwaves will also fit in here. So that is up to you what you would like to use that for. Just sort of trying to pick out little bits and pieces before I get stuck into it. If there is anything else, which I don't think there is really. Okay, so with this particular vehicle, all of your sort of controls and, you know, all that sort of stuff are basically all in this one area up here, which does make life quite a lot easier, to be fair. So the actual control panel here is super straightforward and easy to use, really easily laid out, which I think is quite nice, because a lot of the time they can be a little bit sort of confusing to get your head around. So essentially what you've got is you've got these 4 switches at the bottom. So we've got awning light, auxiliary power, water pump, and 12 volt. So if I turn the 12 volt switch off here, I'm not going to do it because I've got some stuff on in the van, but if I was to turn this off, everything that runs from the leisure battery, or everything 12 volt, would then be switched off. So that'd be all your lights, any ignitions, any fans and stuff like that. So that's your main power switch, basically. You've then got your water pump. Now that is an inline pump which works on pressure. So when you turn this on, just be aware that it will run until it gets to pressure. So what you'll find normally is that you'll turn the water pump on, and then you'll have to come over to the tap and just draw some water through on the cold and on the hot side. So just drawing a bit through, making sure there's no air and coughing and spluttering coming out. Over to the hot. Same again, all good. And now when I turn that tap off, the pump will run on for a few seconds and turn itself off. Okay, so that's the sort of the way that the inline pumps work. They have to get themselves to pressure, and then they'll turn themselves off. The next one over, the aux button. Now that is going to be basically any additional 12-volt appliances that there might be around the van, perhaps some 12-volt lights and stuff like that. So basically, if I was you, if you were going to come into the van, I would go power switch, auxiliary switch, and then you know that you've got power going to everything. Awning light, that also powers this light switch up here by the looks of it. So actually, thinking about it, that may or may not. Let me just double check something. Yeah, okay. So this actually, ignore me on that. This button here on the left-hand side is basically your main lights on and off switch. So the reason I said awning lights, because a lot of the time when they've got an A in them, it means it stands for awning light, but must have its own switch. Let's just double check that. So your awning light is this light just inside here. So if I press one of these switches, there you go. Right, so yeah, ignore me on that one. So that switch just there on the left, the little light switch there with the A in it, that is just your general lights on and off switch. The awning light works from this bottom switch here on the left. Right, so above these 4 switches, we've got a button that says test, which is going to tell us our battery voltages and fresh water level. We've got a light that will come on here when your electric hookup's plugged in, which is the one there that says 230 volt. And we've got another light here that will come up when your waste tank is full. Okay, so if your waste tank becomes full and you need to empty it, it'll give you a light just there. If your hookup's plugged in and it's working, you'll get a light there. And this is your lights for the testing at the top. Now I would expect, to be honest, that the leisure battery should be a little bit higher than it says there. Now the main reason for that is that I've got all of the lights on inside the van at the moment. I've got the boiler on, I've got various bits and pieces on, so I kind of expect it to be using some power, but I would be, you know, half expecting it to be a little bit higher than that. Now, in a normal situation like this, when you find that your leisure battery is a little bit down and showing into the red there, all you need to do is plug the hookup cable in for a little while. And you'll notice that when you plug the hookup cable in, when you press this test button, the battery voltage will be right the way up into the top. So because we've had the van on the site for a couple of days and it's not been hooked up for a few weeks, you know, it's quite normal for it to be a little bit lower. So hook the van up for a little while and your battery voltage will go straight back up. So yeah, that is the control panel. Really, really straightforward. So to the left of the control panel, we've got these 2 things here that both say Truma on them. Well, this says Trumatic, that says Truma. It's just the name of the company that build these things. So at the top, we've got a switch which says 230 volt and it has a little tap symbol on it. So that switch there is for if you want to heat the water up via your electric hookup. Okay, so if you're hooked up on the mains and you want to get the water hot just by using the mains power and not the gas, you can turn that button on there and it will start heating up. Now obviously at the moment it's not doing anything at all because we haven't got the hookup cable plugged in, and so the only way that we can use the boiler at the moment is via the gas. So if we wanted to use the hot water without any heating, we would be going down once on this little right hand switch, and that will then be giving us our hot water only. On the hot water only symbol, you've got the option of 40 or 60 over on the left there, and that is your 40 or 60 degrees of hot water. Okay, so going down on this little right hand switch here is hot water only. If I go back to the middle here on the right hand switch, that turns the boiler completely off. And if I go to the top, we've then got heating and hot water at the same time. Now the heating side of things works from this little thermostat here, and you've literally got a temperature setting from 5 all the way through to 30, and it will just kind of kick in and out as and when it needs to once it's got to its sort of desired temperature. So gas on the boiler, and if you want to use the heating, you have to use the gas. Electric for the hot water is this one up here. And there we go. So that is your control panel and your heating controls. So behind me, we've got your 3-burner hob, your kitchen sink and drainer, and your fridge down below here as well. Now the fridge is going to be the next thing I'm going to run you through, because this sort of stuff up here, if I'm honest, it doesn't really need explaining. It's so straightforward. You've literally got a little thing here telling you which one does what burner. You will need an igniter of some sort, maybe a long reach one is ideal to light any of these up, because there's no ignition with it. Quite normal. Only thing I will say about it is that you have to make sure that you allow these burners to cool right down before you put the lid down. If you put the lid straight down after using any of these and it's still really hot underneath, I'm pretty much guarantee you that will shatter. So it's really important to allow this to cool down before you start putting the lid down. That's about it really. So yeah, I'll show you through the fridge. So the fridge is very, very, very straightforward and easy to use once you've got your head around how to do it. It's one of those things that sometimes people can get a little bit sort of muddled up with it, but if you just remember the way that I'm going to show you now, if you sort of remember how to do it like that, it's very, very easy. So this is an Electrolux 3-way fridge. So it works 3 different ways. You've got an off position right at the top, hence the little circle. You've got mains, so this is your electric hookup symbol here. You've got 12 volt, and you've got gas at the bottom. So, if we were hooked up on the mains, say we had an electric hookup plugged in, you would have the fridge up here on the mains. Okay, that would be the one to use for the fridge if you have the hookup plugged in. Now what it will do is it will take about an amp's worth of power from your electric hookup, heat up a little element in the back of the fridge, and in turn cool the fridge down. Okay, simple as that. After about 2 or 3 hours or so, the fridge will be nice and cold, and that's it. That's how you use it on the electric. The next one down, the 12 volt, is only for keeping the fridge cold whilst you're driving. Okay, so that option there will not get the fridge cold by itself, but it will hold the temperature inside the fridge as you drive. And the reason that I say that, and the reason that that is the case, and that's how it works, is that when you select 12 volt, it actually uses the engine's alternator's power to work. So it will not do anything at all unless your engine is physically running, and it's not powerful enough to get the fridge cold by itself. So you have to use it as like a keep the fridge cold as I drive. So you have to pre-cool it before you leave, and you have to switch it back to either gas or mains when you get to where you're going. Okay, so that is the 12 volt. The one at the bottom here, the gas, is the one that you need to use when you don't have the hookup plugged in, like I don't now. So at the moment I have to use it on the gas because I haven't got the mains plugged in. So to light this fridge up on gas, if I just switch it off gas for a minute, just leave it to cool down for a second because I did just have it lit up. So essentially what will happen is when I select, I'm just going to leave it to cool down just for a few seconds longer. When I select gas over here on the left hand side, you'll see that this little ignition switch light over here will start flashing. And literally all that means is that the igniter is clicking away at the back of the fridge by the burner. Okay, so let's just try that now. Okay, so ignition switch is flashing at me. That means that the igniter is clicking down there by the burner. So to get the flame to actually light up, all you need to do is push in on this little button here. You see the ignition switch stops flashing straight away. And that's because I have now lit the flame up down there at the burner. Now I'm going to hold on to this just for a few seconds to allow the thermocouple to warm up a little bit. So again, to be honest, that is quite normal for it to just start flashing again. So I'm just going to hold it on for a little bit longer. And of course it doesn't want to play ball now that I'm showing it on a video. It's getting shy. The button just here is a little bit sticky, so that's probably why it's not playing ball. If I turn this right down first. So just leave that to warm up a little bit longer. It's quite normal, this sort of thing, on the motorhomes, to be honest. But basically what we're doing is we're warming up. So there's what's called a thermocouple down there, or a flame failure device. And essentially what that does is it allows the gas to carry on coming through once it realizes there's a flame there. And the idea behind that is it stops any gas from being able to be pumped out from places where it doesn't need it. So if the flame was to be blown out at the back of the fridge, then the thermocouple will recognize that the flame's not there anymore, and it will stop the gas from coming through. I'm gonna have to have a little look at this in a minute, so because it won't stay on now. I literally had it on just before the video, but there you go. All right, so we'll sort this out. Might need a new thermocouple. But basically the idea is, sorry about that, it's just one of those things. But when you select gas, you'll push the button in and it will light the flame up, and you'll know that it's lit by the flashing light stopping. And then when you let go of that button, it will then stay out. Obviously it isn't now because something's just gone wrong with it, but we will sort that. So that is how you would use the fridge. What else have we got? We've got the oven at the back just here. This is an oven and grill, I think. Yeah, so again, no ignition, I don't think, for those. No ignition. So you will need, again, a long reach lighter to light either of these up. But you push in and round to the right for the grill, which is up the top here, and in and round to the left for the oven, which is right down the back. It's one of those things that I very rarely run through, to be honest, because it's pretty self-explanatory, nice and easy. In this wardrobe, you've got your trip switches over on the right hand side here. So if you ever needed to double check that your mains power was definitely working, you've got your trip switches in there. Again, you access to your awning light, so if that bulb gives up at some point, you can go in there and change that. This is all your paperwork for the van in this brown folder inside the wardrobe as well, so you can have a good look through that whenever you're ready as well. So the bathroom is pretty much the last thing to show you. So you've got a separate shower in here, which is something that's very, very, very desirable now in the motorhomes. Stop you getting all the rest of the bathroom wet when you're having a shower. But to be honest, the only bit that I tend to run through in the bathrooms is the toilet, because you've literally got a hot and cold tap there for the sink, hot and cold tap for the shower. So there's really not much for me to show you in them, but I'll just show you how the toilets work. So in this particular case, you've got a Thetford toilet. The top here will swivel around to wherever you want it to be. All right. So basically, you've got a blue button at the back just there, which when you press on that, will pump around flush fluid into the cassette itself, or into the bowl, sorry. And then all you need to do once you've used the toilet is push this little grey lever here to the right. That drains everything out from the bowl into the actual cassette, and then pull this back to close that flap back over. And that is honestly it. There's nothing else to it. So pull that door back across. So I'll show you the sink and sort this fridge out. I think that's about it, really. I don't think there's really much else to run through. So if there's anything you think I've missed out, or anything you want going over again, just give us a shout. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.